Alright, good evening folks, it's Enforcer Matt and welcome back to another short war summary. Today we've received some more interesting news about discontent in the Russian military and specifically Russian generals being put out of their posts, as well as some more news about Prigozhin's attempted coup. There's still news coming out about that, and it's actually quite interesting and may suggest that this thing is not nearly over and there actually might be another attempt to try to overthrow Putin. But obviously, let's jump right into our first piece of news here and start examining exactly what we have. The first one is a post from Ukraine World. It says Russian Major General Ivan Popov said he had been dismissed as a commander after telling the military leadership about the dire situation at the front in Ukraine. And the source on this is Reuters. And this is a big piece of news that we covered somewhat yesterday during our stream. This general here is one of the top commanders in the Russian military for the war in Ukraine. And for this guy to speak out about the dire situation at the front, that is a pretty big deal. And obviously, they dismissed him for it. But there's some more details about this that we'll have to examine in our next post. But certainly a big story to keep our eyes on. And this is probably going to be the biggest one of the day. So moving on to our second post here, we have a post from the Enforcer. That's us. And it says, fired Russian General Ivan Popov should continue to serve in the army, says the Russian Defense Committee. And that's a big deal as well, because apparently somebody, I'd assume, probably under Putin or Putin himself, decided to basically dismiss this guy and get him out of the way, since he's starting to raise alarm bells that the Russian military is not functioning properly. Obviously, in Russia, that is not permitted. That is actually a cardinal sin in Russia, and that this guy was pretty brave in order to make those statements. Also, it says here that Popov says he was dismissed after disagreements with superior officers over the situation on the front lines. And we've known for a long time that Russia is not supplying its soldiers with enough food to basically survive on the front line. They're not supplying enough equipment, nor ammo, nor weaponry to basically facilitate their fighting against Ukraine. And right now, they're very much in a defensive posture. They're trying to hunker down in these trenches, etc., to build hold off the Ukrainians during their counteroffensive. So apparently the Ukrainians are wearing them down quite a bit for this guy to be sounding the alarm bell, basically saying that they are running out of equipment. So got to keep an eye on this, of course, and there's a picture of the individual right here, the general that was dismissed. And moving on to our next piece of news here, we have one from Phytux, which says Russian General Sergei Surovikin is still being held, say sources. And this came from the Wall Street Journal. And yesterday we heard that this general was actually supposedly resting, according to Russian officials. And we've learned today from the WSJ that apparently he's still being held. And I wouldn't be surprised if he was still being interrogated. This guy is going to pay probably a very hefty price for what he did in collaborating with Prigozhin during the coup attempt. And there's no way he's just going to get off the hook and walk away from this scot-free. It also says here that the Russian FSB has detained several high-ranking military officers, including Surovikin, which is their main target, hours after the beginning of the Wagner mutiny. So this suggests that the Russians also knew that this guy was involved from the get-go, if you can believe that. So quite interesting, and also pretty big deal that a lot of these generals are starting to get taken out of commission, and they're not able to serve in Russia's military anymore. And which begs the question, is there experienced people in Russia's military, experienced whatsoever, that are able to replace these people? And at the moment, we really haven't seen that yet. So we'll have to wait and see if Russia even has viable replacements for these people. So with that being said, moving on to our next piece of news here, it's a analysis from the ISW. It says former Russian officer and ardent nationalist Igor Girkin has claimed that certain members of Russian President Putin's inner circle may push Putin to end the war in order to depose him. And Girkin, obviously, got to take him with a grain of salt because he is a sketchy source. But this does make a little bit of sense. He's basically claiming that because of the Wagner coup, that Putin's inner circle has lost faith in him, and they're going to try to push him to end this war so they can basically get Putin out of office. I'm not sure if that plan would actually work in practice. Maybe in theory it might work, but we'll have to wait and see. Also, it says right here that Girkin claims that the Wagner Group financier Yevgeny Prigozhin's rebellion succeeded, resulting in a power redistribution according to the plans of Prigozhin's patrons. And the definition of succeeded in this situation varies depending on who you ask. Prigozhin, in my opinion, his main goal was to get to Moscow and take Putin out of power, because that's what he said himself. But apparently, according to Girkin here, all the objective was to basically sow discontent in the Russian government and in that respect, it succeeded. So, it says resulting in a power redistribution according to the plans of Prigozhin. Maybe. We're seeing some issues in the Russian military. I'm not sure if that indicates that Putin is on the way out, but it does indicate that there has been some discontent sowed from the actions of Prigozhin's. So we'll have to wait and see. So moving on to our next piece of news here, we have a post from Anton Jeroshenko, which says Prigozhin's companies signed contracts worth 1 billion rubles after the mutiny, and the keyword there, after the mutiny, the Russian media found out. And this is a very big deal because apparently when Prigozhin was allegedly heading back to Russia to negotiate something, it looks like this might actually be what he was negotiating, which was basically new contracts for his many companies, including his food service companies, which is a big plot twist because that's pretty bold to be negotiating contracts with private companies right after this guy tried to dethrone your power, which Putin apparently didn't care enough to stop the contract being negotiated. So very interesting, and it also suggests that this guy right here holds a lot more power than we actually know, because if Putin is being forced to negotiate with him for the food service contracts, that must mean there are no other alternatives in Russia to get the food service from. So this guy right here knows he holds power, and that's apparently why he hasn't been killed yet. So we'll have to keep an eye on why Nutsack is still basically in charge of his companies, and he hasn't been squashed by Putin yet. So this guy actually might be equal in power to Putin or pretty close to it. So with that being said, we're moving on to our next piece of news, which is from Clash Report, and it's a video here which says the Russian Wagner PMC seems to have started redeployment from field camps, and a long convoy without heavy equipment is moving along the M4 highway towards Moscow, accompanied by police. And it says buses with Belarusian numbers in the convoy, which may indirectly indicate the destination. And if this is true, the Wagner PMC is on the move. They are still inside of Russia and obviously moving around inside of Russia with a police escort. But we know how effective a police escort is. The police can't stop much in Russia because they weren't able to stop the Wagner during their coup attempt either. So that's kind of useless when it comes to a security perspective. But they are on the move, and it appears that they may be going to redeploy inside of Ukraine, or they may be going to Belarus. We really don't know yet. And it looks here like the post is speculating about where they might be going. So for now, all we have is this, and we'll have to wait and see exactly where their destination is. And with that being said, we're moving on to our next piece of news, which is from Insider Paper. It says, new, the Russians say the F-16 jets in Ukraine will be seen as a nuclear threat. And obviously, these planes have nothing to do with the nukes. And I would assume that is figuratively speaking by the Russians, meaning this threat is going to be a threat of utmost importance to them. And I agree. I think it would be a pretty big threat to the Russians, which is why we should send them faster than ever, because that would help Ukraine win in the short term. And instead of, dragging this thing out and making Ukraine fight a very, very tough offensive. So obviously, we don't know when the jets are actually going to get there. We heard Ukraine say that they might arrive in the middle of 2024, which is next year. Which is quite a long ways off. It's almost a year off. By then, who knows what the war will have in store for us by then, because this thing changes pretty rapidly. So it would be nice if they'd get those F-16s sent faster, but it's really just hard to tell exactly when they're going to send them. And moving on to our last piece of news, we have a very nice piece of news to end off the segment, and it says Ukraine receives cluster munitions according to a military spokesperson. And obviously, we just heard about the cluster munitions about a week ago, and the U.S. president permitted them to be basically sent, and now just a week later, they are already in Ukraine. However, they aren't being used by the Ukrainian military just yet, but they will be very soon. And it's very good to see that we were able to send this munition very fast to Ukraine, and ironically, it's the munition that was the most controversial that got there the fastest. So, too bad the F-16s couldn't get there that fast. But it's good to know that Ukraine has received those cluster munitions, and they can go ahead and start figuring out ways to implement their use. And with that being said, that is our last piece of news for right now. Of course, if you would, please press like on the video, please subscribe to the channel, and also go check us out on Twitter. That is the fastest way to get news about the Ukraine war. Give us a follow over there. And also, if you want, check out our Patreon. We have a Patreon. The link is in the description below, where you can help support our work and help us keep reporting the news. So once again, thank you all for listening, and hopefully this has been informative to you in some respect, and we'll see you later on the stream at 10 p.m. Eastern, and bye-bye for now.